episode of Indigenous Survival. I'm your host, Jeff Gibson. If you've been watching my videos from the start, you know that I don't really like to waste things unless I really cannot find another use for them. And today I want to show you something I came up with just messing around. And what it is my wife got a whole bunch of these. I'm not exactly sure where they're from, but they're from Starbucks. I'm just not sure where she bought them. They come in different roasts. This one happens to be French. There's also breakfast blend and another one, but they're coffee. Well, I do love my coffee. This is supposed to be enough for, according to the label, this is one pot. And I want to tell you something, be honest with you, that's way too strong. Okay, I can usually get about 2 pots out of this thing. But I'm not really here to talk about the coffee itself. Yes, it is good coffee. Being Starbucks, of course, it's great. If you want to take it camping, I don't say necessarily survival. I would not throw this in my survival bag, if that's what you want to call it. I would, however, take this camping with me and maybe put the lid back on it. It's not resealable, by the way, but it would make 2 pots of coffee. All I gotta do is put the lid back on it a little bit, maybe a little aluminum foil or something like that, just to keep it sealed. But I got looking at this little can going, it's a nice little metal can. Outside the fact that it's not resealable, because they only intend on this to be in 1 pot of coffee. And I guess it would be if you want your coffee really, really strong. Like, honestly, like to slap the hell out of you in the morning. I really don't. But this would go for a whole day. I can make use half of this for a pot, and then the other half for another pot later in the evening. But I got looking at the little can going, you know what? There has to be something I can do with this thing. And it just so happens that I'm making tombstones for my front yard for Halloween, and I reinforced them with cardboard. So I got looking at the cardboard going, and looking at the can going, you know what? I bet you I can make a little stove. And I got looking at it, and pretty much this is what I came up with. Nothing special. Just took the little can, took the label off of it. I didn't get it all the way off on this one, but oh well. And rolled up cardboard. I cut the cardboard into strips. The cardboard that was trash that I used for making my reinforcing my tombstones. I measured this, and I cut it to fit inside of it, and I rolled it. Actually, I think there's 2 rolls inside that because they were short. And I tested it out by pouring rubbing alcohol in it, let it soak for a moment, and it works great. And it works also with a ferro rod. It works with obviously lighters, matches, stuff like that. I haven't tried it with other stuff, but I have messed around with hand sanitizer. Basically anything that's got a high alcohol content. I would not use gasoline at all. Maybe that white gas, so-called stuff for older Coleman stoves. I don't have any. Maybe that would work. But I'll show you what I did. Like I said, I made 2 of these already. What I do is just took the label off, cut my little strips of cardboard, just bend this around. You just want to break it, sort of, because the cardboard is stiff. It's thick walled cardboard. I mean, you could use probably anything, honestly. Paper, rag, some cotton, anything absorbent. I just, like I said, I happen to have a bunch of cardboard left because I'm making new tombstones for Halloween. I like making them myself. They're nicer to me than the ones you buy at the store. And if you're like us, I only put them out the day of Halloween. I don't really decorate the whole yard up anymore. Okay, this one, that's why I'm glad I brought another one out, because it varies on how big the things, how long the strips are. But basically, you just want to, like you see on the other one, you just want to fill that up. Like I said, you could use a combination of different things, as long as it's absorbent. I just happen to have the cardboard. Like I said, if you watched my channel before, you'll know that if I can find a use for something else, I'm going to. And I hope I get it done right, because it is windy a little bit. And here in Indianapolis today, they're showing rain on the radar constantly today. So I'm hoping I get this done and I can show you before it does come up a rain. And if you see all the little wood trimmings, I'm actually making a spear. So I'll show you how I done that at a later time after I get it all done. And I might even go ahead and do a video on how you can do it yourself. Okay, now you got it like that. It's nice and tight. Just drop that in there and let it open up. And what I did was, I had a bunch of this due to, sorry if I'm going to bring this up, due to COVID. Everybody was running out buying rubbing alcohol, stuff like that to sanitize. Did the same thing. Sorry about that, everybody. You know, but I did the same thing to sanitize door handles and put it in a spray bottle and sprayed the door handles of my house when people came over, deliveries and stuff like that, just like everybody else did. So really now, so I had a bunch of this left. I'm sure you can use it with the 75, 80 something alcohol. This happens to be 91% because I got a bunch of it. So just pour it in there. Oops, got a little everywhere, but that's alright. That's why I'm on that brick. Now what I'm going to do is, I really don't want to get my lighter down there. Just give me a second. I really don't want to stick my lighter down onto that. But anyway, let it absorb up. I'm just going to use this little skewer here. And just like that. Now the one I did, and I will tell you one thing, they are fairly cool to the touch. And you know, not saying you should actually sit there and hold it. That would be stupid. So let's try this again. And since I had two more made up, I wanted to, in front of you guys, try a couple of different fuels, just to see how they do. Now, if you had this in a, let's say a little stove that you made, or little cookers you made. I got one in the house I made out of a stainless steel drainer that you would put utensils in. I cut the bottom of it, the side of it out, and I really use it with the little Sterno cans, but this would probably fit in there just fine. And you know, I'm not going to say it will, because actually I think this is a little bit taller than my Sterno cans. But I could still put it in there and then put my grates in it, light it after I put my grates back. Now, you know, that's a pretty, see, the cardboard acts as a wick, is what it's doing. And it doesn't really burn the cardboard, but you do get a good burn on it. Now, would I recommend putting a whole ton of alcohol in there? Absolutely not. I would just soak the cardboard up just like I did. I only put a little bit. You may go a little bit more than that. And you know, it works great. And I'm gonna sit here and do this. You know, it is a little warmer. Wind's blowing around. I personally still wouldn't mess with it, even if it isn't really super hot. I'm gonna use one of these little here to bend this around, kind of pick it up, move it out of the way here, burn my grass down. I'm gonna try a different fuel. Let's try hand sanitizer. This one is, hell, let's see if it says it on there. What the 65% alcohol. Because hand sanitizer is good to carry for different, obviously, reasons. Open this one up. You know, hand sanitizer is a good idea to carry for different reasons. Obviously, sanitizing your hands. I know most survival, bushcraft, wilderness skills people don't even talk about hand sanitizer. You know, I'm not sure why they don't, because actually this is very, very useful. This one's scent free. You know, one, I'm sorry if I'm going to get into this for a second, but one is the fact that, hey, if you wash your hands even in the creek and they're clean, you know, this really isn't that big of an item to put in your bag. And throw this in your bag, and you can also still reuse the empty container. You know, I mean, you can still even reuse the container. I would. It might not be with hand sanitizer, but I might put alcohol in this. You know, so, but the weight of it, you know, isn't that much. You can go with a smaller bottle if you want, but this one ain't bad. I think I got these at Menards when they were clearancing them, 50 cents a piece. When everybody during the COVID, you know, this was $5. And then, you know, stores do what they do. They buy a whole bunch of it in, sell it for $5, and then when the majority of the pandemic was over, they were stuck with this stuff and they were selling it for 50 cents a bottle. And I bought several. Why? My wife asked the same question. Why did I buy several at that time? Well, I said, you know, it's good. Throw one in the car. I've got one of my first aid kit in the car. You know, various things, like, for that reason. Sorry if I'm going to say it like this, but there was one day me and my wife was out driving. This lady said she got hit by a car. Police didn't think so either. Neither did the paramedics, because my wife called 911. But since I had my first aid kit, and I do know some first aid, which everybody should know. You know, I did take out I put gloves on. I took out some gauze pads, helped clean her up because she was bleeding pretty bad. And after I got done, you know, I took out the bottle of my sanitizer and took off my gloves and sanitized my hands, my arms, everything else. This was during the summer. But, so, you know, having one in there, like I said, you wash your hands in the creek, pull it out, sanitize your hands. You know, nobody actually talks about that. But it's a smart idea. But the other thing is, I'm gonna put this in here. 65% alcohol. Let that absorb in for a moment. And like I said, nobody really talks about that. And also, while I'm waiting for this to absorb, wick up, I also want to say one other thing nobody else talks about either. And I just find it a little hilarious that all the other bushcraft people like myself, just nobody ever bothered to mention it, just like they didn't bother to mention about stupid hand sanitizer. And it really shouldn't be have to be said, but I'm sorry, there are a lot of people in this world right now that seem to be wandering around aimlessly. You know, like my dad would have said, you know, when God said handing out brains, they thought they said trains and got in a line for the train. And they missed the brain bus. And that's the bathroom. You know, how about, I know it sounds stupid that I shouldn't even be mentioning it, but nobody else has, but I think I will, is make sure you go a little ways away from your, I'm not talking 200-300 feet, I'm talking 20-30 feet away from where your shelter, your campsite, whatever you want to call it is, before you go to the bathroom. Because on one of my videos I mentioned about putting little snap lights up. That's the most I mentioned about the bathroom. But you know, one thing you don't want to do is get up in the morning to stretch out, come out of your shelter area, your tent, whatever that may be, and step in your own crap. You know, step in your own crap. That's nasty. Another thing is I know people that said that they would just, you know, if I gotta go crap, I'll just go down to the creek, the stream and crap, whether it's a creek, river, spring, whatever it is. It's like, well, that's kind of nasty, too, because if history tells us anything, I love history, is, you know, during the Middle Ages, people would empty buckets full of crap into the water, and then later other people would dip their buckets in the water to get water out to use in their homes, and they got sick. Of course you're getting sick. You're drinking out of a toilet while there's turds in it. I mean, that's nasty. It's sick. So just remember, put your bathroom a little ways away, dig a hole, crap in it, cover it back over so you don't step in it. I mean, at the very least, stepping in it, then you got it in your tent, you're on your shoes, or your feet. You know, it's horrible. I mean, I've stepped in dog crap and been like, imagine my reaction if I stepped in my own crap. It'd be like, okay, how stupid do I have to be to crap outside my shelter? And I know I said that before on another video, and I mentioned the wrong name. I mentioned Alone and Dual Survival. It was actually supposed to be Naked and Afraid, where I watched the guy. It was on there. The woman got mad because he literally basically hung his butt out the door and crapped. I mean, that's sick. So I just thought I'd throw that out there while I'm waiting. Now that I waited, it should be soaked up enough. Let's give this another go. Let's give this one a go. This one, I got a little, I don't know about 65% alcohol. It should, but we'll find out together. And I know some people out there watching this going, why don't he just use a damn match and use his lighter? Well, one, I don't want to use my lighter, stick it down there. And two, why waste a match when I can just light a stick? So let's try this with 65%. It's trying. Folks, I don't think, yeah, it's going. It's going. It's really, really there, really light, but it is going. Well, we know I wouldn't go any further below 65%. If you can find some hand sanitizer that's a little bit more potent than this, obviously it works. The next one, I have no doubt that would work, but you know, it's doing pretty good. A little bit less violent of a flame than the 91%, but this shows that, you know, it's still useful. Which one would I choose inside of to boil some water? Well, honestly, I'd probably go with the 91%. It burns a lot more rigid or more flame to it. But this ain't bad. And, you know, it's, you know, a little warm. Not too bad. That's a little hotter than this one. But the next one, I have no doubts in my mind. I just don't know what it will do. Big old bottle of lamp oil. Now, lamp oil is highly flammable. It's basically kerosene. But this is new to me. And you're going to watch it right live. I mean, for a little there. Get off my stick here. I have no doubt that this will work, but will it smoke bad? Good flame, but there is that black smoke that I wouldn't know we would get from the lamp oil, just like your regular lamps at your oil burning lamps at home do. But you know, I don't know if I'd use it to cook on, be honest. But it does make a nice little light. Like I said, would I cook on it? To be honest with you, no, I wouldn't. Because I don't want that soot. I think if I was going to cook on any one of them, it would be the straight 91% alcohol. But as a lamp, that's pretty nice. And I imagine it would work great with citronella oil. And it would probably, if you had a couple of these made up, again, not really a survival thing, but you know, it would probably keep some mosquitoes away at night. Like I said, is this a survival thing? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And as I noticed, some of my fellow bushcrafters out there are also doing things that are not exactly survival related. I see a lot of them doing cooking shows. I call that camping. Now, I do want to do one day on, and I will do it. When exactly, I don't know. I got other ones planned before that one, but where I simulate catching a grouse in the woods and cooking it. The best way to cook it, if you're not starving, is a nice pit bake. Because I like carrying heavy duty aluminum foil in my bag. Not a whole roll, just a few, I don't know the right word to call it, a few pieces that are 3 foot by 3 foot piece that I can, that's the width of the biggest piece of heavy duty Reynolds wrap aluminum foil, go by 3 feet long, and then fold that into pieces. I like to have 3 or 4 of those. They're useful for all kinds of things. Emergency bowls, which you should have anyway, but they're good for all kinds of things. Signaling, I mean, a big bright 3 foot square piece of, 3 foot square piece of shiny aluminum foil, it draws attention. You're gonna see it, you're gonna go, what the, somebody's gonna say, what the hell is that? And that's exactly what you want. But, so I like carrying those. You can also do what they used to call hobo pockets, or in the Scouts they called them foil packets, where you put your food in there, some sliced a potato, add in some smoked sausage or what have you, close it up, put some vegetables in there, put that in the coals. Hour or so later, depending on how much heat you got on it, you open it up, you got a nice foil dinner. And I will do stuff on that. But other ones are showing how to make stuffed buttermilk biscuits. Yeah, well, I don't know about you, but inside my backpack is not biscuit dough, sausage, cheese. I mean, I'm not wandering through the forest with this stuff in my backpack. Just in case there's an emergency, I can make sausage biscuits. Yeah, well, great, but I'm sorry, that doesn't kind of meet the survival thing. I mean, be my machete or something else, not biscuit dough. I mean, sorry, I don't care how good it is. I'm not wandering through the forest, going out hunting with my buddies, packing up my backpack with biscuit dough, raw sausage, cheese, buttermilk, butter, all this stuff. I mean, they're going to be like, look at me going, are we going hunting? Are you going camping? Are you going somewhere else? I'm not. I mean, trail mix is one thing to throw in your backpack. I got uses for that besides eating it. That's bait for a squirrel or something. But I ain't wandering around the forest with a dairy and stuff on my back. Eggs and... No, that's camping. And that's fine for camping. And if I was going camping for a week, I'd probably take 3 or 4 coolers stocked. That way I can enjoy camping, but at the same time, if I trap something, I catch a fish, nice catfish, I'll break that thing out. And I got other stuff to go with it. Make me a nice dinner with some sliced fried potatoes. Roll that thing in cornmeal and fry that on a iron skillet. Yeah, well, that's great if I'm camping, but who's wondering? I got a big antique iron skillet belonging to my great grandmother. This thing's like this, it probably weighs 10 pounds. I ain't wandering through the forest with that. I'm sorry. Ain't happening. That would be the first thing I ditched. I got a 10-pound chunk of iron on my back. No, I'm throwing that. So, I mean, they're talking, no disrespect to none of them at all. But camp cooking for a campground and camping is not the same thing as survival cooking. And I told that to my wife. I said, when I do one, I want to do one on survival cooking. Show if I trapped a grouse with one of my traps. And then I cook it. I mean, of course, I'm not really going to trap a grouse. I won't do that. I don't need to do that. I will be simulated, of course. And I will use, a chicken or a garnished hen or something like that. And I will cook it just like I would if I cooked the grouse in the wild. But that's what I call survival cooking. I'm not wandering out there with that. I'm not putting it, carrying a backpack with a cooler in the back with chicken in it, and no. So anyway, I hope you guys like these. It's just one of these things, like I said, I just came up with going, there has to be, there has to be something else I could do with those other than just pitching them, because, being the fact that they are metal cans and they're sealed, just like I said, this one's French roast. Somehow, like I said, Starbucks calls this one pot. I will say this, I did originally try that, and that coffee was just horrible. I mean, there's people out there I know that love strong coffee, and that's wonderful if you like it. I don't like my coffee to grab me by my throat and bitch slap me, okay? I really don't. I like to be able to sit back and sip my coffee, not being threatened by it. So that's a little Starbucks. If somebody in Starbucks hears this about my show and says this, if you still make these, make them smaller, because I love the can, or make them with a resealable plastic lid. Then it'll be great, because then I can pop this lid, make a small pot, maybe a French press, which my wife's watching this because she's obviously watching it because she's videoing it. If you ever feel nice enough to buy me a French press, I'd really appreciate that, because I really like to have one.
Yeah, be good.
Because they are kind of neat. I like how they work, but that would be way too much for that. So a couple cups of coffee, I would probably go 2 or 3 spoonfuls of this, but it is really good coffee. I will say that for Starbucks, it is great. I love the can, but you need a resealable cap. I ain't found one yet that would fit it. I have looked, just really not found one. I know somebody out there is going to say, what about those little plastic cover things that have like the elastic that look like a hair something you put your hair in when you wash it, or you don't want to get it wet. Yeah, they're even the small ones of those are too huge. The best thing I ever found is just put some aluminum foil over top, but that way it stays fresh somewhat. But if you're camping at one place, maybe half of this in a pot, and then the other half later in the evening in a pot, depending on the weather. If it's hot out, I mean, if it's summer, you might not go for that. But at wintertime, if you're camping, another fresh pot of coffee would be great. But I always wondered, what the hell could I do with these little cans? That's when I was like I said, making my tombstones for Halloween, reinforcing the stuff with heavy cardboard, and I went, I wonder if I use the cardboard and soak it, put that in there, if it'll work. And I did it before I ever showed it to you guys. I actually did it just to see, and it worked pretty nice, and I thought I'd share it with you all. And I hope you like it. Hope you find it informative. Like I said, you could probably put it inside the little stove, and I will do that one day, and I'll show you with the sterno one. I might do that one next. To show you my little stove. I don't think these will fit inside the little opening I cut, because I really did cut it to fit the sterno cans. But imagine if you did get it ready and then dropped it down inside of it. Now it's shielded from the wind. Next thing I'll try to see how long it takes for one of these to boil some water. But for lighting and stuff like that, bug lights, keep bugs away with the citronella, these are nice. I mean, I'm not saying make these up and throw them in your backpack. You can make them up like this, get them prepped and ready with no liquid in them, and just carry the liquid with you. Set them up.
Yeah.
It might be fine. But yeah. So until my next video, remember to like and share. I'm sure everything will be at the bottom of my screen at the end of this show. All the information. Hopefully by then you've seen the one of my merchandise. Remember to like and my email address is always indigenous survival, one word, at yahoo.com. Get a hold of me. Let me know if there's anything you'd like to see or whatever. I will be showing you my spear that I have been started to work on, and maybe show you how to make one. Until then, have a good day, and I'll see you at the next video.